Episode 62, A Ghost Story. Introducing Rooney Reverb and the rest of the Synchronicities podcast team. On the BTS Creative Academy podcast, Uncut. With me, your host, Martin Colton. We've got something special today, I feel. Before we get into what's going to happen on today's podcast, I've got this kind of tradition that's built up with the show, where we do a little countdown and a little clap to start the episode off.
Okay.
So what we do is, if we don't mind doing it together, on 3, 2, 1, we'll clap. 3, 2, 1. Ah, that was nice and in sync. Thank you. So again, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So I asked you to, I can't remember who contacted who, but you run your own podcast as well, don't you?
A couple of them, yes.
Mm-hmm.
It was the Synchronicities one that's brought us here today to investigate this spooky-looking building you're in.
Yes, yeah. You've come to the Victoria Hall Theatre in Old Harlow. It's an old building. Recently, in the last 20, 30 years, converted into a theatre. A space that, if anyone's been listening to the podcast recently, I'm very familiar with and spend a lot of time here. So I've got a few things I can tell you about the place. But I also found out about you. I met you about a year ago, didn't I?
Yes, yeah.
Invited you along to a we had a retro cinema club.
Retro cinema club, that's right.
Where we was playing Ghostbusters.
Yes, which observant viewers will.
If anyone's watching, they'll notice that you are a Ghostbuster.
I am a Ghostbuster.
Okay, tell me a little bit about that.
So I'm part of the Essex Ghostbusters, which is sort of the local franchise of Ghostbusters. There's franchises up and down the country and all over the world. And yeah, we dress as Ghostbusters. We go to normally charity events. We help with fundraising and things like that. We schmooze with the public. We check, make sure there's nothing untoward going on. No spooks and spectres spoiling people's special events. And basically put smiles on faces and get to play dress up, which is awesome.
It's a really, really interesting thing, isn't it? That I enjoyed dress up as a kid. And I think some people would say maybe you should stop playing dress up, or that we should come away from that play that we do when we're younger. Did you continue playing as a kid, or did you have a little gap?
No, there was a big gap. I played dress up as a kid, like you say. I think most kids do that. And I didn't get into cosplay until, I was probably in my mid to late 30s. And it was Ghostbusters that got me back into it. Some friends of mine were in this. They started this little franchise, posted some pictures up online, and were like, "Yeah, how did you spend your Saturday?" And I was like, "That's awesome! I need to be in on this." And it was a downhill slope from there. Before you know it, there's a room in the house dedicated to storing costumes and props, and my hard drives are bulging with reference pictures and STLs for 3D prints and all sorts of nonsense.
So you don't it's not just a case of dressing up in the costume, is it? You also make all the props for Ghostbusters and... Sorry, is this just Ghostbusters?
Some people do just Ghostbusters, or will have a particular costume they do. At last count, I think I had 14 different costumes that were currently in rotation for me. And that's from, that's going from films to, I've got a couple of different Star Wars ones, video games, anime, lots of different things. Whatever. Yeah, when I tend to do it when I like a character, if I connect with a character in some way, I'm already sat there taking notes on, okay, right, I can make that by doing that. Ooh, I can get someone to stitch that for me. And I'm already putting together notes on putting the costume together because I really like that character and I want to kind of share that with people.
And it is a really interesting thing that you've found this creativity in your life, that you found this outlet to have this fun.
Yeah,
with the things that you enjoy, like Ghostbusters and Star Wars, but you found a way to literally bring it into your life, and make it part of your life, haven't you?
It's great because it kind of stops you getting old. I mean, I'm plus 40, we'll say, and I don't feel like I am because I get to do for lack of a better word, I get to do silly things like dressing up as a Ghostbuster. I've got the proton pack, I've got the PKE, and I get to go to events and I get to play at being a Ghostbuster for a couple of hours a day, a couple of hours in the evening. Sometimes we'll do it for a weekend sort of thing, and it's great fun because it puts you back in touch with that person you were, in my case, 30 odd years ago, and that kind of carries on into I find it carries on into your outlook in the rest of your life, because you're no longer, well, me personally, I'm no longer, I'm not getting up in the morning, go to work, come home, veg in front of the screen for a couple of hours before I go to sleep, rinse and repeat until I get to the weekend, and then kind of try and catch up on everything I didn't do during the week, because at most weekends I get to drop all of that and go away and do something fun and silly that is a complete disconnect from my day-to-day life, a very boring day job that no one cares about. And that kind of helps keep you, I don't know, it stops you getting stuck in a rut, I find, because it's very easy to do that. The grind is constant.
Yes. Yeah.
The joys of living in a late-stage capitalist hellscape, but that's not this kind of podcast.
That's another subject, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, no, I like to bring that into it. I think it's all relevant, isn't it? It's relevant, the type of world that we live in and the type of politics that's thrust upon us. You must work, you must, this is the only way that you can contribute to society.
Exactly.
Is if you work a 9 to 5.
Yeah.
Which I think we're all finding out that's a complete lie now.
Yeah. We're kind of, the shine has worn off.
The shine has worn off, and we're seeing that we're putting a lot in and not getting much out.
Much back out,
and there's a whole generation out there that are going, what the hell? Like,
why?
I put in all these hours and I can still barely afford to put food on the table.
Exactly.
And you've got a whole generation out there of young 20-year-olds that are starting off on their careers and they've got no prospect or hope of ever buying a home.
No.
And then you start to think, well, how do they look at starting a family?
Yeah.
And
what have they? I think we're probably the last generation. Apologies if I'm assuming you're older than you are.
No, I'm nearly 40.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
In that case, yeah.
Yeah.
We were kind of the last generation that really could follow that old school map of, you come out of school, you go further education, or you go straight into a job.
I think we saw the cracks.
Yes.
We saw the cracks forming, didn't we?
They were being papered over as we were sort of walking that path, and now, yeah, it's all fallen apart. And as you say, you've got youngsters coming out into the world, and they can't follow that. They don't have that checkbox because that's all been screwed up and thrown away. And it's now just a case of they've got to find their own way in an increasingly unpleasant world.
Yes.
Which, yeah.
So you have to find your own bits of pleasantness.
Yeah, you've got to find your own little bits of sunshine, because otherwise it's a very dismal. You can be a very dismal place.
And what a nice thing to do, to take it back to a place of when you were young, when you were, say, 8 years old, and you didn't have those cares.
You didn't have those concerns.
You didn't have those other world concerns, and you dressed up as a character, as a Ghostbuster, because I sure as hell did dress up as a Ghostbuster. I had the proton pack, the blue proton pack. Yeah, with the foam.
The little foam bit that came out the end.
Out the end. I had one of those, and EKG.
The PKE meter, yeah.
The meter that spun around with the
the little orange bit on top.
Yeah, and I'd wear it all weekend, and I'd live in a world of Ghostbusters for a weekend, and I was happy.
Yeah.
I didn't have any other cares in the world.
It's nice to spend a few hours doing that.
So why should we not do that as adults?
At the end of the day, we have the capacity to do that, and I mean we're literally sat on the stage, which is designed for adults to do that. They come out here, they play at being something. The audience gets to sit back, and for the duration of the play that they're watching, they're not worried about the washing machine not working, not worried about paying their bills or putting fuel in the car. They're escaping to this little slice of a different world for an hour, 2 hours, and getting to do that, but out there in the public. It's so much fun. It really is so much fun. And we get to... I like the fact that we can go and we can put a smile on people's faces. With the Ghostbusters, we get an awful lot of... You'll get the parents go, oh, can they get a photo with you? Can the kids say, yeah, sure. And the kids are like, I don't really want a photo. Go and get a photo. Daddy loved this film when he was your age. And you get a lot of the parents who are more interested in it. And you put a smile on their faces. And you just kind of... brighten that person's day, even if it's only for sort of like 5 minutes. You've improved somebody's day, which at the end of the day is the best thing I think anyone can do. Is if you can enter a situation and leave it in a better state, or leave a person in a better frame of mind than they were when you walked into that situation, that's a good day as far as I'm concerned. And that's kind of one of the things that keeps me doing this crazy stuff.
Tell me a little bit more about how that feels.
It's rewarding. It really is rewarding, because I get to come away, and some of these events still run from the whole day. They start at like 9, finish at 6, and if we've been booked for this event, we'll be out there mingling with Joe Public for the duration. And the proton packs are heavy. The belts after a couple of hours are uncomfortable, and you get to the end of the day and you're knackered and things are aching and you've got bruises and things like that. But then you start seeing you see the smiles on these people's faces, especially with like the younger ones when you're wearing a popular character. I've got a Spartan from Halo 3, and obviously Halo, not so much now, but a few years ago was very popular with a younger crowd. And when we turned up to events with our Spartan armor on, we'd get mobbed by kids, and to those kids, you are that character. Yeah, the parents know intellectually.
And
you're
you've put
not
a lot
that.
of work into that, haven't you?
Yeah. It's a great payoff, because
you haven't just gone out and bought a costume.
No,
have you?
Most of the stuff, if I can make it, I will make it myself, because I'm that kind of person. I like to get hands-on and involved with it. And it's a great payoff when you spent 6 months building this suit of armor to go out and you make some kid's day because he's met the Master Chief. And it's like, it's not, but the smile on that kid's face when he goes away and he's like, I got a picture with the Master Chief. That kid's day is made,
Yes, yeah.
And it kind of, it justifies all the hard work you put into it. I mean, to be totally honest, walking down the street dressed as the Master Chief justifies it as well. That's its own reward, because that feels awesome. And that's the other part of doing it is the costumes I wear them because the characters are awesome, and I think the costumes are awesome. And to be honest, if I could wear those costumes every day, I absolutely would. If I could get away with that at work, you better believe I'd be turning up as a Ghostbuster.
I've got this image now of you sitting at work behind a desk, Master Chief tapping on the keys. Away with his big fingers.
Yeah, no, I absolutely would if I could.
Yeah. But why do we need to justify it? Why do we need to?
Yeah, it's weird that there seems to be a section of society that wants you, if you do anything they don't understand, but anything they wouldn't do, they need justification for it. And I can kind of understand they might want to know why you do something like that. Maybe they're even interested in it themselves. But I don't need to justify this to anyone. It's not impacting them in any negative way. I'm living my life. You go and live yours. I don't ask you to justify why you don't do this. Why don't you have fun? Why don't you spend your weekends playing dress up? I to be honest, I don't care. You live your life, buddy. I'm living mine, and I'm enjoying mine probably more than you are. So, yeah, it's weird that they feel this need, and I've had it before. I've had it from friends who just absolutely don't get it. Very close friends of mine. They're like, but why? What's the appeal? And I'm like, it's fun. What do you do for fun? And I ride my bike. Okay, right. Well, I don't like riding bikes. I like doing this. So the fun you get from riding a bike, just transfer that and you've got your answer. Yeah, it's just weird that some people want, I don't know, as if they expect I'm going to come out with something really weird, or like I don't know what's real and what's not.
So if there was someone out there that was tempted and was thinking, God, I want to have fun like I was 8 years ago.
I want to do that.
I want to do that. Where do they start?
Online.
Okay.
Just like everything these days,
else, yeah.
Everything is online. I mean,
are you saying sort of go find a community?
You find the community. If you type in, for example, Ghostbusters cosplay, you're gonna hit groups. If you type in that in the UK, you're gonna hit things like UK Ghostbusters, the Essex Ghostbusters. There's loads of groups. Odds are you can find someone based near you that has a group. Because like I said, there's franchises for the UK up and down the UK and all over the world. So you're going to find someone somewhere. And the same is true for most other fan bases. And you don't have to be a very practical, hands-on person. I can't sew. I can't use a sewing machine to save my life. But obviously, a lot of costumes have a fabric base. You can get them online, thanks to online shopping. Anything you can't or don't want to make, odds are you can find it online or commission someone that can make it. I know you've spoken to people who do that sort of thing.
Yes, yeah.
So
Mutual friend of ours.
Mutual friend of ours does exactly that.
Mm-hmm.
You can find people who will either take the time to guide you through doing it yourself, or if they can't do it, put you in touch with someone that can. There's community. There's the cosplay community in the UK has since I kind of got involved with it maybe 10 years ago, has just gone through the roof.
Are there any other benefits to being part of a cosplay community?
Events, doing events as a group. If you turn up to like MCM Comic Con is probably one a lot of people are familiar with. Turning up to that in a group with matching cosplays. I've done it with Ghostbusters. I've done it with Mandalorians and Spartans. And it's absolutely awesome. You all get kitted up, and you know it's that real sense of community, because you're all there in these matching costumes. You're all going through the same thing, and you're all in that same kind of headspace. So any community of people that are all into the same thing and you know on that same vibe is going to be great for people that are in it. But doing something like this, which is already so much fun and already kind of brings that sunshine to other people's days, being able to do that en masse, it's just this real sense of community, both at the events and afterwards, and just in like the online community. So they'll help you get to where you want to go. If you want to put together a particular costume, you're going to be able to find people that can help with that, and they're also. They'll also want to talk about the same nerdy things you want to talk about. I mean, many Discords.
You're finding like-minded people.
Exactly. It's finding that community, and one of the plus sides of the explosion of the internet being everywhere is that you can find that community almost anywhere on the globe these days, because cosplay isn't a huge thing in Harlow. You may have noticed that, but it's not a massive thing. But I have friends now, literally all around the world, who I have met through doing cosplay, through Discord servers and message boards and Facebook groups and that sort of thing. And it's this awesome sense of being part of this community with like-minded people. And I know I can go onto one of these chats and I can ask about, the exact barrel diameter of an MA5B assault rifle from Halo 4. And someone's going to go, yeah, no, that's 2.5 mil. And these days, I couldn't go to someone down the pub and ask them that.
So you can find a community for finding information, but it also sounds like you find a community for building friendships.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. There's you've got that kind of in almost, because a lot of us nerdy people, we aren't particularly gregarious. We aren't very social and outgoing. Knowing that you can go in there and talk about something you already know about, and these other people know and are also excited to talk about, it's a great way. It's a great icebreaker, because you don't have to worry about making the small talk. You can literally go in and ask these technical questions. The people will know, and they will reciprocate. They will appreciate those questions. So you kind of bypass that social awkwardness that, you go into a room full of people. I mean, we've all done it. You turned up somewhere, you don't really know anyone, and you got to try and, okay, I'm here for the next few hours. Let's go and socialize. Hi. So I dress as a Ghostbuster at weekends. Want to get a drink? There's not many places you can go and do that.
No.
But these communities, you can do that, because those people are going to say, hell yeah.
Yeah. So our mutual friend Tony, who is on a very early episode of the podcast, we discussed his cosplaying, and I went along with him to Colchester.
Yes, you did. Yeah, Invasion Colchester.
Yeah, and I went there to see
I met you twice now.
Yeah,
this is the third time. I forgot about that.
But I went along. Like Tony was like, "I come along, see what happens with the day. You might find it quite interesting." And I really did. And one of the big takeaways I found was there was all these different groups of cosplayers. There was the Ghostbusters. There was the Star Wars. There was the Halo. There was all these different groups of individuals, but I found them all so welcoming and embracing, and it was almost like come be part of. Like everyone was like, it was literally like open arms everywhere, saying like, you'd like to know about this? We'll tell you about what we do in our spare time, and why don't you do it?
Yeah. Hey, do you want to try this? It's good fun.
And that's really
they're very
special.
open communities. We want people involved in this because we enjoy it, so we want other people to enjoy it as well. It's that kind of like social thing where we're not gatekeeping it. We don't want to, this is our little clique, you can't join. It's a case of, no, the more the merrier. one more weirdo to talk to about Ghostbusters. It's like, yes, this is a win.
And that's wonderful. Tell me a little bit about you've brought some things with you today.
I have brought some things with me, yes.
For those that are watching, would you like to show and tell me a little bit about this?
This is the one I was referencing earlier, the MA5B assault rifle from Halo 3.
Nice. And when I saw this, I thought, God, there's going to be some weight to that.
Yeah, and it doesn't weigh anything.
Do you mind if I?
No, by all means.
Is this made of some kind of tough polystyrene?
This is from a block of building insulation foam.
Okay.
It's like this pitch foam that they put between the.
Does it work?
I think the batteries are dead in the torch.
Right. Okay.
The torch is the heaviest part of the rifle.
The torch is the heavy part. Yeah.
It's got a little aluminium torch in the front, and it's all. I carved that from this block of like insulation foam, which was a little bit longer than the rifle is, and then it's.
If I was 8. Even my inner 8-year-old. Let's not say if I was 8, because I am still 8.
I think we've all got that 8-year-old somewhere.
I am still 8, and he's there, and he's right now he's thinking, God, Christmas would come early if I had one of these.
I'm not gonna lie, I took that down off of its. I've got a pegboard rack in the room I was saying about earlier with all the props and costumes in, and I took this down earlier for the first time in quite a while to dust it off for this evening. And I spent a good 5 minutes walking around the house, shooting everything up.
Why not?
Exactly. It's great fun to do, and it's like I haven't done that costume in a while, but getting that down, it's like, oh no, this is awesome. Now I remember why I made this. I mean, it took a bloody long
put
time.
a lot of effort into making that.
Yes, yeah. I mean, just the carving alone was probably like a week's worth of sitting there with various razor blades and Stanley knives and loads and loads of reference pictures trying to get the different angles. I remember me and a friend of mine who were both working on similar costumes at the same time. We had Halo 3 loaded up and we had the offline matchmaking, and we were selecting the different weapons so that we could position the character on screen to go, that's the angle for that bit, and that goes in there, not out. And just like trying to grab screenshots and what have you off the Xbox, taking pictures to get the references. But
the craftsmanship that's going into that then is. Was you into art at school?
No. I can't draw to save my life, and I'd never carved anything.
You never
before
considered
that.
yourself to be an artist of any kind.
It was just a case of.
But yet you have created a piece of art.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I think if you don't try, you don't know.
Yes.
If you'd asked me, before I sat down to do that, if I could carve anything, I'd have said absolutely not, because that wasn't a skill I thought I possessed. But sitting down doing that was the first one. I did another Halo rifle as well, with the leftover, and a couple of that one as well from Star Wars. It's West Star 15, I think.
Okay.
It's the Mandalorian blaster pistol from the Clone Wars, and that's carved from the same stuff. That was in an offcut that was used for, and it was just a case of I wanted these things. Yes, I could have at the time. I would have to have paid someone in America to cast one for me, ship it over, assemble it, and what have you, and it just made it prohibitively expensive. So I was like, okay, well, this is an option. Let me try. I did. And that was the result. Well, these were the result, and I'm well chuffed with them. So, it's one of those. That's another kind of benefit, I guess, of this as a hobby. Is you do discover these hitherto unknown skills,
hidden talents, or bringing these talents out to
making these things. It's almost a hobby in and of itself. Because you do get that. I don't like to use the word craftsman because that sounds like I know what I'm doing, and I absolutely do not. I've been winging it since day one, but you get that kind of the kind of satisfaction I can imagine that, you know, an actual craftsman gets, a blacksmith when he finishes the sword, or a carpenter when he makes that cabinet, and you get to stand back, brush the sawdust off, and, you know, I made this. This was made by me. And I get to stand back at the end of the day after I finish painting something like this, and I'm like, yeah, I made that. That, you know, that didn't exist before I put my hands to that material, and now it does. It's now something else. And yeah, you get to, that's the kind of soft glow of pride, I think, is how I would describe it.
And that's really special to have something like that in your life. And it's really, you know, it sounds to me like this is a really special thing that you have, that you've discovered.
Yeah, it really came out of nowhere. So it's kind of like one of these things I never expected to do. I mean, I've been a fairly creative person for forever, basically. I mean, I've been involved in bands. I spent 15 years as like frontman of various different musical projects. I've done writing, podcasting, streaming. I've done a bit of everything, and still doing quite a bit of everything, because I'm one of those people that likes to. I've always got an iron in the fire. Always got some project on the go, and this one kind of just came out of nowhere. I was like, that looks like fun. Let me try it. And yeah, before I knew it, it was, like I said,
it's something you can really focus your energies into.
Yeah, it's
and get a reward back as well.
That, I think that's the thing, because there's a lot of things that these days that demand our time, demand our energy, but there are precious few that actually really give anything back at the end of it. Yeah, like I said, working.
Yes, yeah.
It's a diminishing returns from the day you start. Something like this, I personally would rather spend an evening carving or you know, assembling or painting something like this, and be able to sit back after 4 or 5 hours hunched over my workbench, and look at that something I've got there, rather than spend that evening vegging out in front of the TV or doom scrolling on your phone, which is all too easy to do, and I'm guilty of it myself.
Yes, yeah.
But this kind of gives me something that I can use that energy for, that gives me not only the satisfaction of you know, having done something productive and creative with my time and got away from a screen, but also leaves me, in most instances with a physical example of, you know, this is what I did last night, or this is how I spent my Saturday, sort of thing, which is unfortunately quite a rare thing these days. It's not often you get to put any real amount of time and effort into something and get anything back, any kind of compensation for your efforts. Unfortunately.
Yeah, and you found something that does.
I have indeed.
Yeah. Can I see the rest of the suitcase?
This one I didn't make.
Right.
But it seemed fitting.
Seems very film apricot. Apricot?
Apricots?
Apricots?
If you push the one of the silver buttons on the handle there.
Oh, I think the batteries might have.
Oh.
Getting a flicker.
Oh. No, okay. They were working earlier, but...
Oh,
there we go.
You have to hold it down. Wow. Now, didn't I see that this... Do you know much about film props?
Yes.
Didn't I see that this prop has been used in...
It's been everywhere.
It's been in a lot of films, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Like it's famous for Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
But it's appeared a few times.
What was the Hulk Hogan one? Urban Commando or something.
I think that's it. Yeah. He's got it in that one.
They use it as it's like a satellite radio or something.
That's right. Yes.
It crops
but
up.
It's
in all
clearly
sorts of stuff.
mainly from like Ghostbusters.
That's the one it's known for. That's what kind of.
I hope if anyone's watching, they could see the. The lights.
That's one of my favourites.
But again, this isn't something you just buy in the shops, is it? This isn't.
No.
You know.
That was the internet again.
Yeah.
It's dangerous. Damages my bank balance.
There we go.
Yeah.
I think it's picking up on something.
It's picking up on something. There we go.
So that changes the subject slightly. That brings it on to the other topic that we was to discuss today. Was your podcast?
Yes.
Synchronicities.
Synchronicities. Yes.
Which is.
It is a podcast looking at paranormal stuff. We term it high strangeness because that kind of captures everything beyond the day-to-day mundanity that we see and experience, that everyone experiences all the time. So it's everything from ghosts to UFOs, cryptids, psychic powers, anything like
and this isn't linked to Ghostbusters in any way, the cosplaying in any way.
No. They're completely separate.
This is a separate interest.
This is a separate. This is something that, to be totally honest, was probably spawned by Ghostbusters, because I would say as a kid growing up, I was a huge Ghostbusters fan.
And if you have an interest in those films like Ghostbusters, Back to the Future, Star Wars, you're interested in sci-fi.
You're into that sort of you're in that headspace already.
You are, yes. And I was very interested in that kind of stuff as well. Tales of the Unknown.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. And what else is going on out there in the universe?
Exactly.
You do bring those stories almost into a bit of your own life, don't you?
Yeah, kind of unintentionally. This interest in ghosts I had was it was something I would read books about it, and periodically, if there was something interesting on the TV or that, I might watch it. But again, it was only sort of not very long ago, actually. It was on a different podcast. We discovered, I'll just name drop, Talk Until the Joy Is Gone, available everywhere you can find podcasts. We were talking on there, and my co-host brought in an article, and it was about something paranormal. And I kind of inadvertently went off, and we spent sort of like 40 minutes talking about the paranormal, and we sat down afterwards and we could spin this out into its own thing. And my partner Amy is also, she's always had an interest in the paranormal as well. So we sort of like grouped the three of us together. And we kind of we spend it's a monthly podcast, and we'll do 1 month where we discuss particular topic. We recorded one this afternoon for release later this month, where we were talking about the Mexican or Peruvian aliens, ancient aliens that turned out to be made of paper mache and chicken bones. We discussed
These
that.
are the recent ones.
The recent ones, yes.
I didn't know there was a conclusion.
Oh, yes. Recently, they've discovered that when some actual scientists got their hands on it and looked at it, they were made of paper mache and various different animal bones.
Oh, what a shame!
Yeah, it's like, oh come on,
give us.
We were this close.
I know they looked so unrealistic.
They didn't look great,
but there was an ounce of hope.
They've been here for thousands of years. Maybe that's what they look like after thousands of years.
Maybe if they've been mummified, they're decayed. And,
hashtag spoilers. Sorry, guys.
or as the government got hold of it and said, no, you're not allowed to know. So let's just tell them it's paper mache. How will we ever know?
My co-host did question that. Yeah,
we've been lied to before, haven't we?
As I said to him, you're on the precipice of a rabbit hole there, because if you put on the tinfoil hat for that, how deep does the rabbit hole go, and how far until you stop?
Yeah.
I mean, by all means, ask questions, but having seen the pictures, I'm inclined to agree they don't look great.
They don't look great, no.
But yeah, we were discussing that and Grindylows, like Jenny Greenteeth, the monsters that dwell in old ponds and things like that. So we discussed these sort of like these supernatural topics,
yes,
and then alternating months we go out to haunted or otherwise supernatural location. And at the moment we're focused very much on sort of like ghost hunting, for lack of a better phrase. We'll go and we've got various things that we do at these locations to capture, see if there's anything there, if anything responds to us and stuff like that. And they've been quite interesting. We've had some very interesting responses on like you've got the EMF meters, and we'll do the Estes method, sorry.
So you're trying to bring a little bit of science into it.
Oh, very much.
But if there is any such thing as science to it, it's there because it's all unknown, isn't it?
That's the thing. It's unknown, so you're kind of,
and nothing's proven. So
everything's up for grabs effectively. I personally prefer more scientific methods rather than things like I'm not a huge fan of mediums or automatic writing, all that sort of stuff. I'm very, very skeptical about that sort of thing. I believe in an afterlife of sorts, and that there is more to the world than we perceive day to day. But I feel that if the paranormal investigative community is going to prove that to anyone, it's not going to be based off of someone in a headscarf saying, "Oh, I'm talking to your Aunt Joan." That's not gonna win anyone over. You need to be able to prove this in a scientific fashion. It needs to be recreatable. It needs to be provable, and a scientific approach to it really is the only way to do that, because we know how science works. You have a theory, you go away, you do the tests, you prove it, and at the end of the day, here you go. Here is my theory. Here is the proof for it. Or here is the proof that actually, no, my theory was completely wrong, because this is unknown. We may be coming at this from a completely wrong angle, or this may just be like a mass group psychosis. Ghosts don't exist. Aliens don't exist. What we see is all there is. We don't know unless there's time.
But it's definitely interesting to investigate it.
Oh, absolutely. It's another thing that's great fun.
Yeah, investigating is definitely interesting.
Yeah. Finding these things and spending the time, putting your effort into it, and trying to find out what it is. I mean, it helps that tonight we're indoors.
Yes, yeah.
Because most of our previous investigations have been outdoors. But yeah, it's, you kind of in my circumstance, I'm here with my partner and like my best friend, and we get to come to somewhere, this cool building, and do this sort of thing. And how many people can say that they're spending their Saturday night hunting ghosts in a Victorian theatre?
Yeah.
Not many.
Well, you think about what a large portion of the population are probably doing with their Saturday nights. It's probably sitting around the TV these days.
Yeah.
Sitting at the, mate, I was going to say the pub, but I don't think many
Pubs
people.
they're
kind of done a little bit now, aren't they? So going out with other people has become a bit of a thing of the past, isn't it? Where everyone's huddled indoors.
You kind of talk Monday morning. You get to work. Hey, we have a nice weekend. Yeah, not bad. Get up to much? Oh no, not really. Played a bit of the Xbox, watched some TV, had a glass of wine, went to bed. Oh, cool.
Yeah. Whereas you, it was ghost hunting.
I was ghost hunting, like literally ghost hunting.
Yeah,
it's great the reactions you get, because you get kind of understanding from some of the most unexpected people. The sort of person you would think would just out of hand dismiss it and laugh at you for doing that, are usually the sort of people who will stop and go, oh really? How did it go? And they're genuinely interested.
Yes, yeah.
And something really interesting that we found when talking to people about this is if you talk to someone, usually in a small group, and you say, oh no, we're paranormal investigators, we're looking into such and such, reports of this lady, reports of a bog monster, whatever, you'll get a surprising amount of people who, oh no, actually, yeah, I've experienced that.
I've had an experience. I've got a story.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you go, you go to a group and say, oh yeah, anyone believe in ghosts? No. But you go to them and say, effectively say, we believe in ghosts. We're investigating this. Has anyone got anything they can tell you? And it's like a switch is flicked, and suddenly people are like, oh no, actually, yeah, no, this happened to me, or I heard about this.
Yes. Yeah.
And it's so bizarre that the change that you get depending on how you approach it. And the moment you take the first step to put yourself out there and say, I believe in ghosts, I want to hear more about them, it kind of opens the floodgates to other people.
Why do you think that is?
I think it's a fear of ridicule. Because saying you believe in ghosts, you go out and you're looking for them, or you believe in UFOs, has largely been branded by kind of mainstream media and the majority of the public as the domain of kooks and weirdos. So people don't want to be ostracized. They don't want that tag of being the weirdo who believes in ghosts. So even if they do, actually, they will publicly probably deny it, which I think is quite sad, because I don't know if this is coming across, but I'm not the kind of person who hides who I am. So that's never really been a problem for me. And it's just kind of sad that people feel they have to hide.
But like you say, the mainstream media has channeled that. Yeah. Has channeled that into society that, there's got to be something wrong with you if you believe in anything other than the norm.
You believe in anything other than the grind and the hustle, you're weird. And
Yes.
it's like, well, you know, people who believed in electricity were weird. People who believed in steam trains were weird.
Yeah. People believe that the world was round.
Were weird. Yeah,
And
exactly.
and now people believe in the world is flat.
And now we've kind of gone full
Yeah.
circle, for lack of a better phrase on that one. But
Yes.
it's just, I mean, if at some point, if I reach a point where I no longer believe in this, if I have incontrovertible proof before me that there is nothing else out there, yeah, fair enough. It's a shame, but I will accept that. And go on with my life. But until then, it's the same as you know, denying the Earth is round. It's until you know, it's bloody silly. You know, you can't just say
to make a conclusion either way.
Yeah, there is not enough information, not enough evidence, and not enough research has been done to decide either way. For me, at least, to decide either way.
So how do you? I want to come back to ghosts, and we're definitely coming back to that because we're going to kind of do a crossover in a minute and turn this into a synchronicities podcast.
Yes.
But before we do that, how do you feel on topic? How do you feel about the disclosure of the UFOs at the moment? That's been quite a big.
That has been a big thing.
That has been quite a big thing, and quite a turnaround for governments of the world to start saying no. It was only like I think it was 2020. There was the first time that the government
started unsealing those. Yeah,
they said
blue sky documents.
UFOs are a real thing.
Yeah,
what UFOs are, we don't know.
Is up for grabs at the moment.
Up for grabs, and we're going to reclassify them as UAPs.
Yeah, that's right. Yes.
So we're going to not call them UFOs because that's linked to sci-fi. We're going to call them UAP, give them a new name. But there is definitely things flying around in the sky. Or in the water.
Or in the water.
In some cases, that we don't know what they are.
Yeah.
We have no clue if they're linked to other governments. We don't know if they're linked to people.
Yeah.
But they are.
They are a thing.
So that is our governments are telling us that's a fact.
Yeah.
So you can't deny that.
Yeah,
there is strange
we
things
know
going
that there is strange stuff going on, and okay, they may not be admitting the full truth. But the fact that, you know, any leading world government can come out and say, here's these things, they've happened, we don't know what they are, we don't know why, there it is. It was a bold move.
So what does that mean?
But to me, that's the first step in finding out what they are. You know, the fact that the government has acknowledged them. And we've got to assume that if we'll take it a level playing field, that they are telling us the truth, because you have to make some of these assumptions, otherwise you can't.
Again, like you
anything.
say, you'll go down a rabbit hole. If you start saying, "Oh, they're lying to us," and it's all about another reason, or it's and
suddenly the moon doesn't exist, and you're going down a dark path.
Yeah, but let's stick with what we're being presented with is the truth.
We assume that for all intents and purposes, they're telling us the truth. That has got to be, I take that as a first step to, okay, right, well, they're saying they don't know what this is, but they exist. That, to me, should be surely enough to goad some kind of official body into action to actually start investigating this, perhaps in a more open fashion, because obviously if they've reached this point and they still don't know what they are, and they're happy to admit to the international community that they don't know what they are, they've looked at it, they've researched this. But, you know, the biggest leaps in human understanding and progress as a species happen when we work together. So let's put together some kind of task force or something, get these people, because, you know, you've got one story over here, you've got another story over here, and you got this guy over here saw this, and you got this government has got these records. Put them all together. You've got to start collating these things and getting your heads together and piecing together the full picture. Because everyone at this point, it seems, only has a piece of the picture. Put it all together. Any missing parts you can probably infer from there, and you can actually start making progress and go, okay, right, well, we don't know exactly what they are, but we know what they aren't. You know, for instance, we know they aren't weather balloons. They aren't swamp gas. You know, they aren't Chinese lanterns. So you can start ruling out what they are, and then it gives you a better idea. Rule out what they aren't, which then gives you a better idea of what they may be. And that's the kind of thing that needs to be applied to the whole paranormal community.
Mm-hmm.
People have got to kind of get out of their heads these set ideas of what is and isn't real, what things are and aren't, until we actually know one way or the other. It's very easy to say, okay, well, Bigfoot isn't real, Nessie is, the Mothman is, the skunk apes aren't. Okay, well, what have you based that on? Well, it's all personal feeling. Well, that's great, but that doesn't stand up, because this guy over there completely disagrees with you, and by your reasoning, his arguments are just as valid as yours. So you've got to apply that scientific method to start piecing things together.
Yes, definitely.
They've made these big reveals. They don't seem to have done anything with it, at least not openly.
Well, let's see if we can do something with us. Let's see if we can make some scientific reveals tonight.
We'll see if we can get some reveals tonight.
Yeah, let's move over to your podcast now.
Okay, cool.
Over to the Synchronicities, and I'll take you on a tour of the theatre.
Yep.
And we'll see if we discover anything here this evening.
Get through to the other side.
Yes. So thank you for joining me on this podcast.
Thank you very much for having me, man.
I'm very much appreciating you sharing. I feel like there's a lot more that we could talk about with regards to your cosplay.
I get the feeling we could have waffled for hours.
And if you've got anything new coming up in the future, I'd love to have you back on as a guest. And
I would happily come back on. Yes, it's been great.
Talk some more. But I'm also aware that we've got your partner,
other guys
and your
are
best
sat out
friend sat outside, waiting patiently to go and investigate and find some ghosts.
Yes.
So, one last thing from you.
Yes.
One last question for you. What would you say to your 8-year-old self about what you're doing now?
You're going to love it. You're going to have the coolest toys and the best costumes. So just, keep doing what you're doing, mate.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, man.
Excellent. What does that mean?
There's activity,
Are you sure about this, Mr.
What
Rempel?
about low down? If there's a child spirit.
So what is this device?
That is a REM pod. What it does is it generates... I'm going to turn you off.
Just for now.
Sorry if I'm interrupting any spirits. That generates its own electromagnetic field. That a foot or so around it. Anything passing into that, which has its own electromagnetic field, interrupts the EM field around it and triggers the alarm. The idea being that spirits or entities they don't have physical forms, so they are just pure energy. And the theory goes that EMF meters, REM pods that interact with that sort of stuff, pick them up when they're there or passing by or what have you. So in theory, if that's going off, there is an EM field or something interacting with it, which is not what I expected from immediately putting it down.
No.
Keep that up as well.
If we're gonna get stuff straight away, do you want an intro?
Yeah, I've already did that now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're already recording. Okay, cool. Good evening and welcome back to Synchronicities. We are here this evening on this rather chilly Saturday evening at the Victoria Hall. Oh, there's a camera over there. At the Victoria Hall Theatre in Old Harlow. We are joined by Martin, whose surname I have forgotten.
Colton.
That one. And what do you do here, Martin?
So I'm the chairman of this theatre. I run the charitable trust that keeps the building open. It's a theatre now. It's been a theatre for like the past 30 years, but it hasn't always been a theatre.
No.
It's quite an old building, 1888. It's been here since.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of history here.
Oh, yes. Built as a community centre originally, I think.
Yeah, community centre before the town was even built.
Yeah.
So we're in Harlow, but it used to belong to Epping County Council.
Ah, okay.
So Epping's a good 10 miles away from
not
here.
Not particularly close.
So it belonged to the Epping Council as a community building.
Okay.
when it was built in 1888 as Victoria Hall.
Nice.
Yeah.
Martin's going to be accompanying us this evening to give us ghost stories and the inside scoop on the building, happenings and things like that, and providing us with information. And this REM pod down here, as soon as we turned it on, started going mental. Just after you told us about the...
I'd literally just started to tell you, didn't I, about a ghost story, because there's a few that I'm aware of in here.
Oh yeah, that's... Yep, there's stuff there already.
So are you picking up a sound from this, or...?
These are EMF meters, so these pick up electromagnetic fields.
Mm-hmm.
That black one is a particularly sensitive model, and I don't know if you can see that there, but it's picking up something. In general, unless you're stood next to sort of high wattage power supplies or transmitter towers or a microwave, these don't pick up anything. So...
and it's also worth adding that this is a little black spot of the old town.
I did notice that with my phone.
Yeah, in any kind of signal. So it's a conservation area. So there's no 3G or 5G masts around here. You can't. This road down the side of the building, you can't get normal radio signals.
Oh, really?
Down this entire road, it's such a black spot. Yeah.
Ah, there we go. So even less reason that should be picking up anything. Can you get a shot of that? I'm just going to pick it up from there. The other one's now doing it as well. So there's now the REM pod, which anyone who listened to the previous or watched the previous episode or listened to the previous episode at the temple site will know only actually sprung to life there with something at the altar.
Yeah, we've never had it go off until the temple site.
I wasn't even entirely sure it worked because.
Yeah.
But at the temple site, it started going off, and you were literally telling us about someone spotted a child in a play that wasn't actually there.
Yeah, so there was a show here about 18 months ago. It had a cast of about 10 people, all young adults, all in their early 20s. And an audience member has said at the end to them, that little boy was really good in the show. And they were a little boy, and they said, yeah, little 10-year-old boy that just kept coming on, and he didn't have any lines, but he was just really intense and really, like, he was playing along, and I thought he was just really good. And there was no 10-year-old boy.
No 10-year-old
there was
boy.
no 10-year-old boy in the show. So someone saw a little boy up on this stage. And that's not the first time someone's talked about people being on stage that weren't meant to be here. Or weren't here at all.
weren't actually here.
Yeah.
And we put the REM pod down because we figured that'd be a good place to do it, and immediately it started going off. So, okay.
And it's stopped since, hasn't it?
I think that's primarily because I turned it off. Okay.
Nice, or I'll watch in a second. So.
I turned it on, so it's my responsibility
Right,
if
okay.
it's not working.
Have you got one of the catwalks?
Yeah, put some catwalks out,
That
maybe.
gives them all. I'll put the other GoPro here as well.
Can I make a request?
You can.
When we do the Estes method like that, can I sit in one of the cool chairs?
Can you sit him on the cool
Yeah,
chair?
you film me there. So I look regal.
Right, let's put one of these down as well.
Something here.
This is just.
Now this looks very Ghostbuster,
It looks very cool.
scientific.
It's really simple. It is a cat toy.
Okay. That's this, isn't it?
Yeah, that's that. There we go. You're not supposed to do that.
When you say you're not supposed to do that,
Yeah, it's not motion activated. It's not.
so it's not picking up a frequency on us moving around.
No, it should only do it if anything with its own electromagnetic field passes anywhere near that antenna. This is just a flashy ball, but they're very easy to trigger if you are a being made of energy. Again, this is the theory with that, is that spirits can interact with that and set it off. And again, we've had quite good results with that actually.
Yeah.
The last investigation.
We had it in our house as well, didn't we?
In the house, yeah. it seems to be very easy for them to interact with them and trigger them. And it's a more visual representation, which is captured very well on the GoPro, which I'm going to set up pointing at that. Right. Get a wonderful shot of your behind there.
Lucky you.
I don't know if lucky is the word I would use. Okay, there we go, a lovely shot of my head upside down.
So, I've spent a lot of time in this building over the past 20 years. And so, ghost stories are flooding back to me now. Are you okay if I share?
Oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
We encourage it.
Yeah. Tell me to shut up if I'm talking over anything important that happens during your investigations. So during COVID, I spent a lot of time here. This was like my sanctuary. That I could escape from home and be here alone.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
Very lucky again to have this place available to me to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I enjoy a bit of writing. And so I set up on the stage a desk and a chair and my laptop, and I'd write some play ideas that I had. A great opportunity to do that. And I was doing that for a few days, and it a bit lonely, bit quiet in here. But so was the rest of the world. But then one day, the last day I did it actually, because I got freaked out, sitting on the stage at the desk writing away, all of a sudden a piece of plastic hit my head. And it was as if someone had thrown this plastic at me.
Yeah.
And I looked around thinking, oh, there's someone else, because there are other people that got keys to the building. I thought it's someone like round the corner behind the door. Are they playing a prank on me and they've thrown this piece of plastic? And there was no one. I checked it out. No one was playing this prank on me. Just a random, and it was a broken piece of plastic as well. I was a bit like, this is weird. Anyway, left the piece of plastic on the desk, went home. Came back the next day, and a light from the ceiling had smashed on the floor in the exact spot that I was sitting on.
That's insane.
And the plastic was nothing to do with the light.
Do you think maybe it was like a warning, like
Get out, move out the way.
Don't be here.
There, it's an old
They're protecting
building.
you.
Something's about to go. Move.
Oh, wow.
So, could that bit of plastic been linked to the thing that fell, or was I saved?
I've heard stories of like people being saved in similar,
Yeah.
like things being moved
Yeah.
or people being distracted. So they go to check it out, and then where they would have been, something's fallen down or something's hit them.
Well, I could have easily stayed there for another 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah. And
So-
have a light fall on your head.
And have a light fall on my head.
And these ain't small lights.
No, it wasn't one of the. All this rig is very safe, and these lights are very safe and up there securely. It was an old light that had been up there for 20 plus years as part of the ceiling that came down.
Oh, that's pretty cool. That's a positive spirit. We like them.
Yeah.
So there's a positive, and you know what? I spend a lot of time in here, and I feel good and safe.
Yeah.
I feel like this is
It feels a comfortable environment.
Yeah, I spent a lot of time alone in here, and I'm always like, if there is something, it's a good feeling.
Yeah.
We've
Definitely.
been to some places and you sort of you spend more than about 5 minutes in there, and you're like, this is not a comfortable
Get
place to
bad
be.
vibes.
Yeah, you get the bad vibes. But
Yes,
no, this is. I mean, we just spent nearly an hour chatting on those 2 very comfortable chairs over there, so it must be a comfortable place.
And felt at ease, yeah.
You get little flickers, aren't
Yeah, as soon as you started telling the story about the light, this was going up
Give
to
them-
red. So
Really.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like it's probably something going, yeah, that was me.
Okay, let's.
Oh, careful.
It's alright, you didn't die. It's good. Alright, let's go for a wander.
So do you find this then, that as stories are told, as you talk about, say, spirits or something, that you find there's a reaction?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If especially if you're talking about a spirit that was involved with the story you're telling, they a lot of the spirits and entities that people encounter these days want to be recognised. They want to be interacted with, be they positive or negative. They want to be interacted with. So if you're telling a story about something they did, they like that, and they want to let you know that they're here, they're listening. And they appreciate you talking about them, basically. I mean, that happens, for both positive and malevolent spirits
Yeah, it's
as
like
well.
the bad ones seem to kind of be showing off and laughing, or
Yeah,
you get a kind of like taunting kind of vibe from it, and then the good ones it seems just feels more gentle, doesn't it?
Yeah, it comes across more in when you start asking questions and what have you of them, or with the Estes sessions, you get sort of a more direct communication, and you can kind of get more of an idea of what you're talking to and kind of what alignment they fall into generally.
Yes,
But yeah, usually if you're telling a ghost story about a particular ghost who's there at the time, they're all for it, and they will, if they can, reach out to let you know that, you know, they like being talked about. Okay, let's go for a wander then, shall we?
Yeah, like I say, I've got some stories about many rooms in this place. And it's a great place to tour as well, the theatre.
Watch out for the GoPro there, because this would be as well.
So of course, like I said at the beginning, it's only been a theatre.
Not coming up, just making sure I get a good shot.
Yeah, you've got the audio recorder.
So it's only been a theatre since '96.
Okay.
So before that, it was a community village hall type place. A youth group run the place for a while.
Okay.
Before it was a theatre, and prior to that, I've had a bikers club in here. A library. Winston Churchill used to do speeches here.
I saw the plaque. Yes,
he got a plaque on the side of the building. So when he was a councillor for Epping, I think it was. Yeah, it was owned by Epping County Council. Winston Churchill will come here and do his speeches. So there's a connection with a big historical figure.
Big name there.
A lot of history, so there's a lot of people that could be linked to.
A lot of people that could be linked to the building. After the war, this place was used as a place that soldiers would come to rest after the war.
Okay.
So if they'd have had injuries, an arm or a leg blown off, they'd come here and rest here before they ever go home, or they would pass away. So there's the potential for a lot of.
I know that's
a lot of death here.
It's a synchronicity that only this afternoon I brought up the idea of talking to a soldier.
To the soldier spirit,
Really.
He was saying about how if he could meet any sort of spirit to talk to, it would be a soldier.
It would be like just anybody involved in like World War One or World War Two.
So that's
slightly obsessed.
Well, you might be able to.
You might be able to.
Yeah. So that the history of this place was that it was used for that. It was used to look after the soldiers before they went home.
Wow.
Or pass.
I think we know who's going to be wearing the headphones in the Estes session later, don't we? Okay, let's check out the rest of this lovely building.
So this is the bar area. Now I have a story for the bar area as well, actually, that's linked to COVID. So during COVID, we took it upon ourselves as an opportunity to do the bar up a little bit, to do some painting. We had this lovely artwork painted in the middle here by a local artist. But we also stuck some pictures up on the wall. And we found this old picture that's right behind you here. We found this old picture, and it's like the oldest picture we've got of the building that we found in the basement. Oh, wow. And we thought, that needs to go in a frame, doesn't it? So we put it up on the wall, and we put it up over here. And we left that day, and we came back, and it had fallen off the wall. And, we must have just put it up wrong.
Yeah.
We used some of those tacks.
Yeah.
That you get, what they called the safety tacks that like Velcro.
Oh yeah.
We used some of those. So we got some even stronger ones. Put it back up on the wall. Came back the next day, and it'd fallen down again. So a third time we put it up, and we put it up in the old-fashioned way with like a hook on the wall. Next day we came in and it was smashed on the floor.
Wow.
The frame had been smashed. Oh. It did not want to go up on the wall there.
On that wall.
So it's up over there now.
And it's staying on there.
And
now.
it stayed up there. It stayed up there fine. So is it just our shoddy craftsmanship? Or
unlikely.
Did that old photo not want to be positioned there? Did it not want to be positioned underneath that's the opening day concert poster?
Oh, okay.
So that gives you the information of when it was opened in
There you
1888.
go. Yeah, that's the opening day.
September 18th. The people that came here, I think there was there was instruments played, a violinist. You could go and buy tickets at the local post office.
Oh, the Arkwrights. Yeah, they're a big name in old school Harlow. In Harlow of old. Spend any sort of time looking up the history of Harlow, and Arkwright is a name that
Really?
pops up a lot.
There's an entire estate named.
They have an entire estate named after them, which used to be their manor home. Well, their manor home was there.
So it didn't want to be underneath that poster. It did not want to be on that wall.
While,
That picture.
while you were telling us the story,
Mhm.
the EMF went crazy. It was on
Yeah, it was going mad again.
Yeah.
Keeps going up.
You didn't want to be on that wall? Didn't like it on that wall?
What about the Arkwrights? How do we feel about those?
There we go.
That sent shivers up my. So the Arkwrights, were they a good family? Were they nice people? Were they bad people? So they were nice people.
Come on, don't go shy on us.
Did you not know them personally?
Okay. Knew them by reputation only.
Heard of them?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Interesting.
It's weird how like during the stories it tends to really start spiking, and then like between it's
You asked the question
Kind of
and bossed
like-
straight up to red.
yeah
There's a pretty strong answer there.
yeah yeah.
Yeah, confirming the strong.
There we go.
And so, just as a skeptic,
I
none
am
of
a
these
skeptic, yeah.
other instruments you're using are interfering
No.
with this, are they?
Yep. This is not.
They don't go off when they're together or apart.
No.
Phone,
And if
phones, if they have to be really close
Yeah.
to,
And they have to be active. There you go.
so
That
might have
because
been- that was
that
something
didn't
else.
even trigger the other one.
yeah, so it's
There you go.
yeah,
Right.
so your phone has to basically be on it.
And we use two of these, two very different models, because if it's a localized field, so it is a particularly strong broadcast or, I don't know, a power surge somewhere, both of them would go off. If
Yeah.
it's something like we're seeing here, only one of them is going off, something is, or the theory being, something is interacting directly with that device.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had it before where both are going off. It's kind of like as if it's happy to communicate with both of us,
Yeah.
or quite open.
They
And then
like
there's
they like
been-
talking to Amy.
Yeah, for some reason
Almost
I've
all of the
got-
spirits prefer talking to
Yeah.
Amy.
Any
We've-
ideas why that is?
I don't know. We've even like swapped device because we thought maybe one was
Maybe
more
one was
sensitive.
more
and as
sensitive
soon
or
as we
faulty.
swapped, the one that I was using went off.
Yeah.
But then there's one I can't remember which one it was.
One of them
Like
talked
you.
to me. Yeah.
Cold Christmas, I think it was.
Yeah, Cold Christmas.
They
Whatever
seem
it
to
was
want
wanted
you.
to talk to me.
But yeah, I don't know why. I don't know whether there was one. It was North Weald, wasn't it?
Yeah. the
And it
bunker.
seemed to. There was like a soldier, we assume.
It didn't like me.
Didn't like you,
It
but
wanted
it
me
seemed.
to leave the room so that it could talk to Amy on its own.
Yeah, it seemed to like me. And then it was talking about girlfriend and things like that. So I don't know if I reminded them of something, like someone, or
You can't be the one from North Wales.
yeah, you're not the one from North Wales.
No.
We've been to too many places and bumped into too many other spirits for you to be claiming to be that one.
I feel like at this point, with whatever we're picking up on here, again, whenever I'm in this building, and I've never heard of anyone getting any bad vibes from this building.
Yeah.
I've, like I say, I've spent so much time here alone, and I always feel safe and.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very comfortable building.
It's a it's a comfortable environment. Yes, it can be a bit cold and it can be creaky like an old building is.
Yeah.
But there isn't bad vibes here.
Yeah.
It agrees with you.
That's the thing. I've been to
Yeah.
some
Flashing
places
away.
where as soon as I've turned up, I've felt really like
Yes, yeah,
something's
I've
bad
experienced
or
that.
heavy.
A bad environment.
But
and,
yeah, here feels very comfortable, like homely almost. Like
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I call it my second home.
Oh,
Yeah, I do.
yeah, it
Okay.
feels nice.
This is another potential hotspot
Okay,
then.
so would we like to go to the basement?
Yes.
Take
Yeah,
us to some
everyone-
creepy
everyone-
places.
Everyone loves a basement, don't
We
they?
don't often get to go going basement.
Right. Okay. So the steps are quite steep, and this door is heavy.
Was that good?
That was me. Yeah, it flashed to red for a moment there.
Okay. So yeah, steep steps.
Oh, okay.
Take it easy.
You'll take us all out if you go.
Exhausting.
Okay. So this is where we store some of the props for theatre shows. You want me to jump straight in with a story down here?
Yeah, by all means.
A story.
I want to hear everything.
You want to hear everything. So, and mate, I don't think I'm the only one with these, having had these experiences in this building. But I remember for this one, I remember exactly where I was. So I knew 100. The shutter was down, the doors were closed, and I was down here looking for some wood to build a set. And whilst I was over in this part, I heard footsteps in the bar. So I was like, oh, someone's come in.
So the bar's directly
The
above
bar's
us,
directly above us, the bar area. So I'm thinking someone's come in while I'm down here, because I've been down here for 5 or 6 minutes. I'll go up and see who it is. Go up, shutters are still down. I'm in here alone. I was like, strange. Hello.
Yeah.
Someone's definitely in here. Like, footsteps are distinct, aren't they?
Yeah, like
Yeah,
sometimes
yeah.
you might think, I heard something, but you can tell when it is footsteps or it's something being moved. Like, when it is an obvious sound like that and you're 100% sure, you can't really explain.
So I came back down, cracked on with the work that I was doing to find the wood, and the steps continued. So I ran back upstairs and no one was there.
Expect to see someone come like halfway down.
Yeah, and alone, completely alone. Now, a theory that I've got with that is because it's an old building, it's old wood. I wonder if old wood has like a memory and it expands and contracts like footsteps.
Yeah, maybe.
But then if it doesn't, why does it do it randomly?
Yeah, you'd
Yeah.
think it'd be all the time.
You'd think all the time you'd hear it.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of, in a building this age, there's a certain amount of odd noises and things you write
You're gonna
off.
get creaks.
It's an old building. They settle, they creak in the high winds or temperature changes.
Yeah.
But when hearing footsteps, like you said, footsteps are fairly distinct.
Talking of memories, though, there are like spirits that get caught in the loop and will just continue to do the same thing over and over again until the energy just dies away completely.
The
and
stone
stops.
tape theory of ghosts.
So who knows? It could be somebody that was a local and used this building a lot. It could be a soldier.
Yeah.
It could be somebody
Someone that
else
worked
that's
here.
come, like died more recent in like the past 10 years, but came here a lot. And that's just the constant
Coming
thing
back
that
to
they
visit, the stone tape theory is that certain physical things like the stone, obviously, certain types of wood, things like that, absorb these emotional imprints of people doing things. The sort of grey lady ghost that you see walking the nun's path or climbing the staircase sort of thing, they're thought to be stone tape, and it is, as Reggie has said, it's this spirit doing what it did in life, blindly, not reacting to anything. That's why you often see these spirits that will walk through a wall. And when you look at the old plans or talk to the locals, oh, that didn't used to be a wall, that used to be a door. It's not sentient, it's just this tape of this thing playing out over and over. And as you say, if this building has been witness to that sort of thing, a fair amount of suffering, we can say, people dying, lots of important people visiting, strong personalities, then it's entirely possible that they've kind of imprinted on the building, and that's what's causing that sort of thing to play out. They tend to be a little bit more
benevolent.
They're neither one nor the other, because they're not.
They're more of a memory rather than
it's like an old film
person
playing on repeat until the tape wears down, and then they disappear, which is why you don't see things like Stone Age man wandering down the high street. You don't get any caveman ghosts, because the energy that was stored while they were doing that thing over the millennia has played itself out like a worn out tape. So it doesn't have the energy to play anymore. It just fades away.
I'd be right in saying as well, a lot of the time the spirits aren't conscious of whatever's going on around them. So they may not even know you're down here.
No.
They may not be trying to mess with you. They're just going about their spirit
They're
business.
just going about their spirity day.
And I've wondered that actually when I've been here alone and I've heard these creaks and these noises, if they just consider themselves to just be here.
Yeah.
They're just getting on with their day. They're not trying to notify me of anything.
Yeah.
They're just wandering around as they do it, you know.
In the moment.
In the
that it
moment.
would have been.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It seems to me there's a potential for multiple spirits and multiple spirits of different kinds.
Yes.
Like you've got the friendly one that through the plastic you'd stop the light dropping on
So
you,
you
but now
switch.
you've got another one that's not even conscious that you're here,
Yeah.
just going about its
Yes.
business.
Now, interesting as well, you said about the wall. So this wall here, it is believed to be newer. And there is believed to be more of a basement, because the plans of this building, the old plans, they show a basement that goes all the way to the end of the building.
Okay.
So what...
Oh, no, that's the battery. What? Oh, there we go. We like that. Hang on a second.
Battery
Stole the
low.
battery.
Was that the...
Stolen
Taking
the battery.
Sometimes you get things taking energy.
This EMF was just going off.
Yeah, as soon as you were saying about the wall.
So yeah, let's
It
get...
likes hearing your stories.
So the wall.
Oh, hang on a second. Let me get the other.
We want to get back on recording.
Yeah, I'm just going to fire
So
up.
is this something you find happens, that you have all these things charged?
Yep.
But then you get in these
That was
environments.
fully charged this afternoon.
Mm-hmm.
The battery on that should run for 8 hours on recording.
But you get into a situation like this, and
we were 20 odd minutes in, and it's dead. It's drained the battery on it.
The
So
first time we went to do any investigations for synchronicities,
yeah,
we went to Cold Christmas, didn't we? We took a fully charged camera, turned it on, walked about 5 minutes, got to the church,
battery was
battery's
dead.
gone completely.
It's kind of a known thing with these, is that you turn up to investigate them, and because, like we were saying earlier, because you're there, because you're giving them that attention, they want more, and they can seemingly draw power from batteries to sort of, there you go, it's flashing away again. They can seemingly draw power to continue doing stuff from these devices.
Yeah, or like if they want to interact with you because you're noticing them or you're trying to find out more, they're drawing the energy to give them the strength to interact with the devices, and
which is a
things
real
like
pain in the
that.
neck when you're when you're using these devices to interact with them, and they're inadvertently sucking the power out of them, making it more difficult.
So yeah, like I was saying with this wall. Let's see. you can't trick them, can you?
No.
But yeah, the basement. There is plans that the basement goes all the way to the end of the building. So how that used to be and why it was blocked off. Maybe it's flooded behind there. Just don't know. Maybe it's filled with buried treasure.
Yeah.
I often think of the Goonies, you know.
Yeah. I would
There's-
be trying to drill
There's
through.
potentially a pirate ship under there. Yes? Is there a pirate ship? Is there
Pirates in
gold?
there.
Is
but-
there more behind the wall? It's going to ignore me now.
But here's another. This isn't a ghost story as such. This is just something weird that happened. So we're in a basement. There is no way into the basement. There are no holes. We've checked. Okay, so there is no way that anything can come down here. The only way in or out is we've got a hatch here, and we've got the door in which we came in. One day, me and my friend Simon came down here, and we found a dead crow.
Oh wow!
How does a crow
How-
get?
How does
Yeah.
the crow get?
How
in
does
here?
a crow get down here?
Yeah, like if it was like a mouse or something, you might be like, oh,
Mouse, rat. Yeah, I'd be happy with that. But
crow.
a crow.
Yeah.
Now, looked it up. A dead crow on your doorstep is a good omen, apparently.
Okay.
It's an omen for riches. But it's not on the doorstep, it's in the
Yeah.
In the basement.
It's in the basement. Yeah, we had we did have a problem years ago with rats. And we had a whole team in looking for holes throughout the building, and no holes were found down here.
Huh.
So you thought that, because birds can probably like push their way through something,
Yeah.
but a rat can't get down here.
Yeah. And crows,
Yeah.
they're quite
And
big.
they are big.
They're big birds.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the only way that it could have got down here was the door being left open, and it flew all the way through the main door,
through the main door, through the bar,
through the
door up there,
yeah, and then the next door to the basement,
Yes.
and then come down. It's just
and died overnight.
and yeah,
Yeah,
and then
it's
in
a
the
bit of a
floor
stretch.
in the middle, so like right in the middle.
Yeah,
That's very strange.
Yeah.
Does that count as a synchronicity? Given my patron deity and the feathers and the birds.
Well,
Possibly,
I found a feather in my boot the other day. I don't know how. I texted him and I went, weirdest thing. I've been at work all day, and then I took my shoe off, and there is like a massive feather in my boot.
But something approximating an explanation. I'm a dabbling occultist in addition to everything else, and the deity that kind of deigned to work with me is Pazuzu, who maybe you recognise from The Exorcist. That was the name of the demon in The Exorcist. In the real world, he was a Sumerian demon. Basically, he was the king of the wind demons, and the way he seems to communicate is with birds and feathers, them being obviously mortal creatures of the air, and him being in charge of the storm winds and the air currents. And we find feathers in impromptu places.
Yeah.
And it's usually some kind of, we've been interpreting it as a communication. Magpies everywhere just lately. Everywhere I go, there's a pair of magpies or crows. Feathers turning up in locked rooms, a bit like your crow down here. I was wondering if
Well, I feel
that's
like
another
sometimes-
synchronicity.
I feel like maybe it's something to do with like what we're doing.
And there we go, straight up to red.
Like maybe it's kind of like encouraging us to do it, or it's like a protection, or
Well, you know what they say. The minute you start paying attention to the weird and the wonderful, the weird and the wonderful,
Yeah.
you'll find a way to communicate.
yeah.
with
Because
it.
around the time
looks
around the time we did Cold Christmas, we were finding a lot of feathers, weren't we? And like
Even I started finding feathers in
Yeah.
the weirdest places.
He's absolutely not a believer in
yeah,
that.
he's
a skeptic.
yeah. But yeah, it was just really weird, and I thought maybe it's linked to us coming here, or kind of like an encouragement to keep doing it.
Yeah.
Especially when I keep mentioning that, and it's going
We're getting little
You're getting
blips.
those little.
Yeah.
I have to say, this is the least spooky basement I've ever been in.
It's
Yeah.
lovely.
It's very comfortable vibes down here.
We've gone through 32% of battery.
Oh.
That's.
Shall I take you around the rest of the
Massively
building?
unexpected.
Have we got spare batteries
For
or
that?
spare GoPro? Or...
We've got the other GoPro, which is currently monitoring the stage,
Yeah, we can switch them out.
and we can switch to our phones if
Yeah.
need be.
Yeah. Let's take you to the rest of the building.
You say that as if you're not normally.
This also used to be when the youth club had this building. It was a disco room down here, and this was a stage over here.
There's a little stage.
Little stage, little bar over here. This room would be the bar. So yeah, so it's a disco room. So the amount of things
interesting
that
building.
yeah, this is a lot of history. There's a lot that's gone on, a lot that's unknown because it just wasn't documented.
The thing is, like, especially around Harlow, like, there's not that many interesting places, or it's like they're hard to find. So coming somewhere like this is really quite exciting.
Yeah. As we were saying earlier, this building clearly has a lot of history, but it's not been
different.
documented.
Yes.
And so many like different things. It's not like it's always been.
A very storied history, is it?
Yeah, it's like.
Okay, well, don't wear yourself out because we'll be trying to talk to you later. We'll use the Esther's method to try and talk to you.
Yeah.
Back in the bar.
Back in the bar. What else can I tell you about the bar? So this is a picture from the very first amateur dramatic show that was put on here, 1995. So that's the beginning of the venue being a theatre. 1995. So what happened is the Playhouse in the town, the main theatre, closed down for a while.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
The council didn't want to fund it anymore, and so all the local actors and thespians, directors, and they needed a venue, somewhere to be, and they came over here and started transforming this. So since 1995, it's been a theatre.
Yeah, because I've noticed there's quite a large group of like actors and like playwrights and things like that, which I find it's quite nice to have.
Yeah, we're very lucky.
locally.
We're very lucky that there was a little bad period for people that do theatre in Harlow, but something really good came out of that.
Yeah.
You know, this is a very unique building, and we're very, most theatres are run by like a local council, and they have staff and they have funding problems, but we're self-sustaining here, so we don't necessarily have those problems.
Okay.
Our biggest problem is paying the gas and electricity, and it is, and to be honest, that is a problem these days.
Yeah.
Because it's very expensive, but we're not, we don't have any staff here. Everyone's a volunteer.
Okay.
So we're able to fund the place and to keep it going by doing theatre, the stuff that we love.
Yeah.
And through donations as well. Donations are always very important to keep us going. Let's take you upstairs to the dressing room.
Okay.
Before your batteries get completely drained.
Before we lose all the power.
So these are very creaky stairs.
Yeah.
I've been upstairs a lot and heard these stairs creaking by themselves.
Yeah. Stairs seem almost custom built to do that.
Mm-hmm. So we call this Johnny's room. It's a little bit of a mess up here because we had a Christmas show that's just ended. But yeah, we call this Johnny's room. This room's dedicated to a friend of the theatre who passed away tragically in an accident, Johnny. And we dedicate this room to Johnny. He was a big supporter of the theatre, known throughout the community. He was a good friend of mine. And when he passed away, he really did. It pulled the community together. And in his passing, again, some good came from it in that it funded the building and it kept the building open.
Yeah.
At a time that we were struggling, and so Johnny would have been pleased with that. And so yeah, we dedicate. It normally looks a lot cozier in here. We try and have this as like the cozy resting room. Resting room. This is essentially what this is. It's normally a cozy room, but having just finished a production, it's a bit of a mess.
Yeah.
Yeah, loads of teenagers in here, so. This is pretty tidy for actually.
Having a group of
But,
teenagers in here is very tidy.
this is like the cozy room dedicated to Johnny. And then this is the rest of the dressing room. That when we have a production on, we have divides up to split it into boys and girls side. But again, very very cozy up here.
Very cozy, yeah.
I will often be up here, and I will hear. So the stage is out there. I will often be up here, and feel like there's people down there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will hear noises if like people are walking around and moving, and nothing. We have CCTV throughout the building, which I often feel like I'll be sitting over here and I'll be on my laptop or something, writing a script or working on a show, and I often feel like on the monitor something will move at the corner of my eye, and when I look up, there's nothing.
Yeah, I hate CCTV monitors.
It's really cozy and nice in here.
Really cozy, really quiet in here. Nothing is.
It went up.
Really? You're gonna do that to me? You're gonna make me look like a liar? If you are in here, by all means, do that again. You put this down there. If you're in here, come over, touch that black box.
Yeah, it won't hurt you or anything like
It's
that.
not gonna hurt. It'll just
The numbers
let us know you're here.
Yeah, the numbers will go up, and if it goes up to a certain point, the
They like you.
it
Nobody
might
likes
beep.
me.
Or touch this one.
Okay. So you're happy to touch that one, but not this one. Yeah.
That was the BTS
Do we have
Creative
that
Academy
you want to look at
podcast, Uncut. I appreciate you joining us for this conversation. If you'd like to find out more about the BTS Creative Academy, just search BTS Creative Academy. And so that you don't miss out on any future conversations, don't forget to like and subscribe.